how to best use the space you have. It's myOrganized.life live. Well, hello.
Hello.
Another week. It's Monday.
Yes, it's
March
12th, 2018.
Shout out to Caroline, my daughter's birthday today.
Happy
Had to
birthday.
do that.
We missed my dad's birthday last week.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Dad. He turned the big 60.
Oh my goodness. Look out, folks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, your family's becoming, from what I understand, one of the biggest set of viewers here.
Yes.
So
yep, they love the show.
That's really good. Well, welcome to myOrganized.life Live. I am John Hunt.
And I'm Leanne Thompson.
And this is the show where we give you organizing tips, advice, and get your feedback with questions and your comments.
Yep.
Feedback, that means like, why not right now?
Tell us where you're watching from.
Yeah, where you're watching from, right there in the comments. And whether you're watching this live on Facebook, which is every day, Monday through Friday.
2 o'clock Central.
2 o'clock Central.
Yep.
Or you're watching on Facebook on a replay or on our YouTube channel too. You can see this many different ways.
Anywhere.
But you want to be here for the live show because then you can do the real-time comments.
Yep. Comment when we screw up or
yeah,
whatever.
and we have been known to do that.
Yep.
Now, there are some days, like when we have the day off, that we're not going to be here live. But for the most part, we're going to do this every Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Central.
Yeah. And if it's pre-recorded, you'll know because we'll have the same clothes on.
Yeah.
From the previous episode.
The previous day. But you'll never know that because we'll pretend like it's live.
Right.
So that's okay.
It's the magic of theater.
Theater and recording and all that stuff.
Yes.
Well, today we're going to talk about how to best use the space you have.
The space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, some people might think, well, we're going to just talk about what happens if you don't have enough space.
Right.
But that's not the case. We're also going to talk about what happens if you have too much space. Because there's really two ends of the spectrum.
Definitely.
And this brings back a podcast that we did way back in season 1.
Season 1. That was in 2012 or 13.
Yeah.
One of the two.
2013, I think.
2013. Okay.
Anyway, with Shauna Turner from the Shauna Method.
We've mentioned Shauna a bunch of times on the show now.
I know.
People are going to think she's our only organizer, but she's not.
She's one of our favorites, but not the
Hi,
favorite.
Shauna.
And we'll never reveal who the favorite is.
Keep them guessing.
Yeah, keep them guessing.
Yep.
But we have many favorites.
Of course.
Actually.
Yes.
But anyway, you can find those podcasts at smead.com/podcast. Scroll down, again, pretty far back, number 38.
38, yeah.
Back when we had our virtual set, which was kind of cool.
It was cool. The green screen, you had that big, huge desk.
Yeah.
Now it's just us two on this little desk.
I know.
In our small studio, but it works because
we have organized the space that we have, right?
Look, we always tie things back. We're just creative.
Also, if you're putting in comments on Facebook, we want to know if you have, what kind of space you have. Do you have too much room and you need to have some ideas on how to work better with either less room or less stuff, or do you have not enough room? You have too much stuff, but you actually need more room to use the stuff that you already have. So we want to hear that from you in the comments. And so what else do we got going on? We're going to put, I think what we'll do is we'll talk about other things coming up this week, because we're going to kind of be on this theme of organizing for either specialty spaces or tight spaces or, things associated with that this week. But we want to get into this segment with Shauna Turner from that original podcast number 38, which you can find at smead.com/podcast.
Yeah, I've been in a couple situations, and frequently they get out of control because of a life event. So that can be a negative life event, such as an illness. So maybe a family member gets moved into the living room, and suddenly every surface is covered with medications and doctor's instructions and new equipment that they weren't used to having before. But it can also be a very happy reason why this takes place. Most commonly, a new baby arrives on the scene, and suddenly there's just gear that you've never had in your space before. You have a little baby, but you have just tons of stuff that you don't know where to put. Should it be upstairs? Should it be downstairs? I had one client who had a baby. It was the first grandchild. So both sets of grandparents descended with gifts out of great love, which was terrific, but the house was overwhelmed with stuff. She just didn't know what to do with it, and she didn't know how to tell her parents and her in-laws please don't send any more stuffed animals. I don't know where to put them.
Right.
So that's a common situation.
Yeah, and I suppose in a situation like that, I've heard sometimes people will use a closet as a nursery if their space is really tight, and they put the little porter crib in there, and have a little bit of space to work with. So,
Yes.
are there some rules of thumb that people go by, like you need so many square feet per person, or in a room you've got to have 3-foot aisles? I mean, do you go
Right.
by any of that kind of stuff?
I don't so much. I do. There is one rule of thumb that I generally say, and that if you're going to have a coffee table near a sofa, you need at least 18 inches to walk around it, preferably 2 feet. But other than that, I really think that you can be happy in any number of spaces. So if you look at folks living perhaps in Manhattan and they're in 700 square feet total, they can be just as happy and comfortable as someone who is in the middle of the country with a 4-bedroom colonial. It's really about adjusting what you own to the space that you actually have. It's doing that reality check to say, how much space do I have? And then how much can I accommodate here? So I generally say that it's not too little space that's the problem, it's too much stuff.
Well, coming up this Wednesday, it's Podcast Wednesday, and we'll be releasing a brand new podcast from Lisa Woodruff, Organized365.com. We're going to be talking about how to organize a Sunday basket.
What is a Sunday basket?
Okay, well, Lisa, great question. Tell us a little bit about what a Sunday basket is.
So the Sunday basket is a container where you put all of your actionable to-dos, your ideas, and your mail all week long, and then you go through it on Sunday, and I'm going to show you how to divide your every week actions into these slash pockets, and we're going to talk in part 2 about how to organize your projects into those.
Sounds kind of interesting.
It does. So Lisa, how did you come up with the name Sunday basket?
So it was real original. One night I had my husband and kids. They were really little. They had all fallen. My husband wasn't little, but the kids were little. And they had all fallen asleep at 8 o'clock at night. And I still had some extra energy. It was Sunday. It was night. I had a basket. I had paperwork. And I created the Sunday basket.
There you go.
Cool.
Hey,
That's pretty neat.
that makes a
I
lot
like
of
that.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, join us this Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Time. That's 3 Eastern and noon Pacific. We'll be releasing the podcast with Lisa, and who knows, maybe Lisa will even lurk along after the show to answer your questions as well. So that's coming up this Wednesday, 2 p.m. right here on Facebook. Okay.
All right. Wow. Look it. We're back in our other clothes.
Other clothes. That's because we pre-recorded that other promo.
My
for
hair
this
is
Wednesday.
different.
Yeah.
Everything's different.
Well, when you have a big budget to do hair and makeup,
I wish.
Wouldn't that
be
if we
great?
could show you all the people on the other side
hey,
of
everybody.
it takes like a staff of hundreds
To get us ready.
to get this
Yeah.
show on the air. But anyway, well, I really liked how Shauna talked about this whole concept of how to use the space you have, and the kind of the rules of thumb. And when she meets like that client and what is the pain point, and really analyzing it on an individual basis. But other things that you didn't see in that clip that are on the podcast are secrets for working in a small area.
Yep.
So if you have like a small apartment or something like that, what can you do to help maximize your space and minimize your stuff?
And she kind of made interesting point. She said a lot of times people that have smaller spaces are more organized than the people that have a ton of space, because a ton of space you just
Well, you have more
kinda-
space to like push things around
yeah.
and store.
So
Yeah.
that was kind of interesting.
Garage organizing solutions are included in the podcast as well, which is great this time of year as you're getting ready to
Shuffle things around.
Shuffle things
you got that
around.
problem like the bikes.
Yeah,
Every
the
spring,
bikes.
I got to do something with the bikes and get
Yeah,
them
the
out.
bikes gotta go up and then they come
snowblower
down.
goes out.
Yep.
Lawnmower comes up.
Yep.
All that
Yep,
stuff.
and then space planning tips for the kitchen. Who doesn't need that? And that again is you may have a little galley kitchen that's only this big, or you might have a huge,
Sprawling
open.
kitchen,
But
but-
both of them have issues, so you got to know how to deal with
Yep.
that. We talk about that.
And she talks about storage units.
Yes, you've experienced with
Yep.
self-storage units, right?
Yep, only for 2 months.
Yeah.
That was the limit because it was between our moves.
Yeah.
And it was very helpful, but I can't imagine having one for long term. That
Yeah. I
That,
know people
adds up.
do.
That
'Cause
definitely
they
adds
want,
up.
Yeah, if you actually take the rent of one of those self-storage and do it on a square footage basis, you're paying super high amount.
And how often do you really go back
No.
and dig out your stuff that you need?
It's
And
funny.
even like moving from house to house, I've only moved twice,
Yeah.
technically. But I found when you move, some of the boxes are still taped up from your last move, and it's
Yeah.
like maybe it's time
Yeah.
to just get rid of some
I
of
know
that
I've
stuff.
told you this story before, and I think I've done it on one of our other podcasts too, about the person, and maybe even on this one, where I drove by and these people were literally like holding one thing in while they were trying to close the door. They had that storage unit so
they're
packed.
in the. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because
wow.
they were wall to wall with their stuff in there. So
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
hopefully you don't need the thing that's in the back.
Hopefully not. Yeah. How would you even get to it? You'd spend all day there just trying to get that one thing.
So anyway, that's podcast number 38, back from season 1. You can find that at smead.com/podcast.
Yep.
Scroll down to the bottom. You'll
Look
see
for Shauna's face.
Yeah,
Yep. Mhm.
and it's organizing spaces, and so that's great. Well, speaking of Shauna, by the way, we also have her coming up on a podcast coming up in a few weeks, right? You remember
Yep.
what we're going to talk about?
No.
Okay.
I have no idea.
All right.
Do you?
I don't. No, I've seen.
I
emails go
schedule
back
her,
and forth.
then
I know.
I don't remember.
I'm just trying to think about what we're doing tomorrow.
Tomorrow is
the fingertip files
Yep.
or a reference.
reference files at your fingertips kind
Yeah.
of thing, talking about an article and
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. A couple weeks ago, we talked about desktop organizing, and this kind of goes along with this theme of space.
Yep.
You know, there's certain things that work well on your desktop that help maximize your space, but once you have those holding units or
Yep.
or systems, there are things that you use on a regular basis. You know, phone lists, price lists, papers that you're kind of referring back, and those are those reference files.
those
So
have to have prime real estate
yeah.
to talk about.
So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, some tips for reference files, right?
Yep.
And then, even though it's Wednesday,
Wednesday.
we're going to talk about Sunday.
Sunday Basket.
Yes.
On the podcast with Lisa Woodruff.
Yeah, and we heard a little bit from her. She phoned in there to let us
Yep.
know what she was talking about, so that's great. Then, if we're talking about organizing spaces, you know, planning spaces, we need to have some solutions.
Of course. Well,
So-
that fits because Thursday's our solution day.
Thursday is solution day.
So we have some stuff in store that we're going to show
Yeah,
on
so
how to.
how to use certain spaces more effectively.
Right.
And then Friday, we'll round it all up with the
Blogger Roundup.
great. Well, gosh, you know, the week is just starting, but it seems like we're going to have a lot of things going on. But
We always do.
We always do.
It's fun.
Again,
It's fun.
questions or comments, show ideas, put them in the comments, shout out, say where you're watching from, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow at 2 o'clock
2
Central.
Central, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. You know, and even though we went through daylight savings yesterday,
Oh, that's right. I forgot
it's
about
still
that
2
already.
p.m. Central.
Right. That did not
It
change.
just feels like it's 1 p.m.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Don't my kids hate it when I talk about that? It's 2 o'clock, but it feels like it's 1 o'clock. And they go, no, it is 2 o'clock. And I
Yep.
agree. And it's also time to go.
Time to
So
go.
We'll see you
See you
next time
tomorrow.
on myOrganized.life live.